Welcome, everyone, and thank you for attending our session, which is called A Practical Guide to Disaggregated Networking. And IP Infusion's customers, Madeo and Prosoluce, are with me today, and we're going to talk about the keys to success. And so I'm Kelly Leblanc. I am the Chief Marketing and Product Officer for IP Infusion. We're based in Santa Clara, which is where our headquarters are in California. It's nice to be here, traveling to this event. And with me, I have François Defrocourt from Madeo, and I have Gaël Hermet from Prosoluce, and I'd like them to introduce themselves. So François, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself, your company, and why you're qualified to speak on open networking?
Hi everyone, I'm François Defrocourt. I'm solution engineer in Madeo. I'm in the informatics from 10 years actually, and we are a system integrator in France.
Thank you. And Gaël?
Hi, so I am Gaël Hermet, and I am what would be the CEO at Prosoluce. I am also the co-founder, and I oversee the technical aspects of the company, and we just built a small data center in the south of France, and that's how we started this journey.
Thank you. So here you can see our agenda for today. So I'll give a brief introduction on IP Infusion, and then Madeo will share the journey and Prosoluce journey, and then we've saved some time for the Q&A at the end. Okay, so a brief introduction on IP Infusion. We are a networking software company. We've been in business now for 25 years, and we're very happy to bring the momentum of open networking to this conference. We have announced a momentum press release just a couple months ago for the 2023 year. With our OcNOS product that we'll be speaking about today has been seeing some tremendous growth. Now, for a little factoid, of those of you in the OCP community for a long time, OcNOS actually stands for Open Compute Network Operating System. So we've been there since the very beginning. And we're very happy to share that our biggest region right now is EMEA and India. And so we're happy to be presenting our cases in the EMEA region. And also our largest and fastest growing use case is for the data center, which we will be talking about today. So for OcNOS, this is our premier product. It's a network operating system for wireline, wireless, and data centers. And what we've been doing for the last decades is replacing legacy equipment from companies like Cisco, Juniper, Arista with our NOS running on the OCP compliant hardware. And we do this because we have a complete feature set. We have an industry standard CLI. We also have a GUI-based management product that allows us to enable a seamless replacement. We have you can pick your choice of hardware. We have over 50 OCP compliant qualified platforms that we work with, and we have over 200 optics that we're certified on. Now, when we look at the OcNOS solutions, of course, we'll be talking mostly about data center today, but it is an end-to-end solution, a single NOS across the access, aggregation, the transport, and the data center. So the single NOS across all these cases, we have a very range of performance, everything from 32 gigabits per second all the way up to over 14 terabits per second with the same NOS. And we also give your choice as of 400 gig ZR plus optics. We sell directly the software or through a bundle with the help of our partners to provide also 24/7 support. So without further ado, what I'd like to do now is to turn it over to François to talk about Madeo's case. So I'm very pleased to invite François to talk about Madeo's case. So Madeo is based in France, a cloud provider and systems integrator who has been running OcNOS on Edgecore and UfiSpace hardware as an alternative to Cisco and Sonic. And he's going to share a bit more about his case now. Over to you.
Thank you, Kelly. Our journey starts with the project to replace all the Cisco gears with only one dark fiber between our two data centers. So we start to think about innovative technology, and the open network come to us, and we sources the IP Infusion plus Edgecore and UfiSpace for our new data center interconnection software and hardware. And we want to evolve our protocol to extend the layer 2 network between our data center, not on simply extending the VLAN between two data centers, but rely on L3 with EVPN plus VXLAN technology. So it will be very easy to understand the concept on the IP Infusion command line and the process to implement EVPN VXLAN. So we are very happy to use the IP Infusion on day-to-day, and it's worked since 6 months ago, and run like a charm.
Okay, great. Thank you, François. We'll give a bit about the Prosoluce case, and then we'll start our panel. So I'm very pleased to welcome Gaël from Prosoluce to talk about his case. And so, of course, Prosoluce is a French telecom vendor and who needed to upgrade the backbone from 10 gig to 100 gig. So he has selected OcNOS running on Edgecore to do the 100 gig upgrade with some very good support from Pine Networks, who's also in our audience today. And the company also wanted to replace the Huawei equipment that they had. So I think you will tell us a little bit more about this deployment now.
Yes. So
over to you.
our journey is quite similar, but there are a few key differences. We've been doing this for a few years now, but it was not our initial goal to be a network operator. We started as a web agency, which is kind of weird, but it's the way it worked. So we kind of build our own infrastructure over time, but with the technology that we had access to, and that meant for us it was mostly Mikrotik switches, which were great, but there is no support for it, and we were limited to 10 gig. We wanted to go more, and we wanted also to go to a more scalable solution, because we just built a new data center and we are also present in a few others. We looked at the different solutions on the market. We tried to speak with different vendors, and it was a very frustrating experience, because at a very small operator in the south, rural France, we weren't taken seriously. The costs were very high, and basically only Huawei gave us a solution. It worked well, but a few years ago, all the political scene changed, and we couldn't take the risk to upgrade our core network to Huawei, so we had to find an alternative, and that's when I met Hadi at Pi Network, and we discovered this world of open networking, and it matched with us because we used mostly open source software in our services for the service that we provide. So it's kind of a logical way to go, and it's been much easier than anticipated, the transition, because like you said, Kelly, the CLI is pretty standard, which means we didn't have to invest too many time to form and I don't know what would be, but for the technician that use the hardware, it's pretty straightforward to go for another vendor to this one. And we are not vendor lock-in, which means we can change when we can mix and match. We can do pretty much anything we want, and that's very important for us.
Thank you, Gaël. So what I'd like to do now is to open it up to our panel discussion. So I've prepared some questions for both of you, and then we'll offer up the Q&A to the audience. And so these are just a couple of the questions that I prepared, and some suggestions. We can start. This is very interesting because both of you have replaced the legacy equipment. If it's Cisco, Huawei, also you needed to interop with your existing equipment, the existing Mikrotik, Ubiquiti, and others. So what is your experience migrating to open networking, and anything you can share with the audience, replacing such big vendors with an open networking approach? Why don't we start with François?
The journey starts very easily with IP Infusion. The same concept on Cisco gears and the same concept on Cisco gears on RDC. We have some Sonic on our switch office, but the main purpose of IP Infusion is on our data center. The experience level to understand IP Infusion is very low. Not something special to learn to use the IP Infusion software stack. So we set up the new gears on top of our old Cisco gears, and just switch between the two, and all the stuff running.
Okay, very good. And Gaël, how about on your side? You had a lot of interoperability testing to do.
Yes, we had, because over time, every time we had a new need for a client or something, we tried to find the right equipment, and it ended like we had some Huawei, some Mikrotik, some Alcatel-Lucent, and we had to find a way to make everything work together. And well, we had to find a way, but it was pretty easy because it was pretty much plug and play, because everything worked right away. So yeah, no worries for us. And I actually agree, because the CLI is pretty standard. We didn't have to invest in too many times to find a way to work with this equipment.
Yes, and I think
because it's such a small team, for us, we cannot afford to have 10 people travel overseas for formation or something.
That's a good point, because that begs the question of support. So every call, every question, every customer meeting we ask, what about support for open networking? You must have talked to our TAC, you must have worked with our support. So how does it compare to the traditional vendors? Anything you can share, advice to give?
We unfortunately have dead on arrival UfiSpace switch gears, and we go through the Hermet process, and we go very smoothly, and we get the new switches 1 month later. So we have anticipated spare kit on RDC, and we have to replace the two switches, and the process was very smooth with IP Infusion to transfer the license between the two switches. So we have no worry about the IP Infusion support.
Okay, that's good news. Yeah. And Gaël?
This time the experience is pretty different for us, because we didn't had any request to the support, because everything went smooth for us. But it was still refreshing to see how we can talk to somebody at IP Infusion and find a way to get answers before we install everything. And it's not something that we had before with the other vendors, because we were so small. We were usually blocked at the distributor level. It was pretty hard for us to go find an engineer to validate something, and so because we hadn't gladly had a chance to test the support after. We are still glad that before we deployed this new core network, it was really much smoother than we were used to.
And so,
if it makes sense.
So, and you've both been deployed now for several months at least.
Yes.
Yep. So, how about the capex and opex savings? Anything that you've noticed so far that you can share? This is another topic people are always wondering. You know, how does that work in an open networking environment?
For us, the journey it's 10 years investment, so we have to be confident in the selection with IP Infusion and Edgecore and UfiSpace. So for us, the capex is very low to the price entrance, and the opex is very low too, because we don't have to learn a new concept and new things. So we are very it's on the good way with IP Infusion.
Okay. In fact, I do want to dig a little bit more on this with Gaël, because you know, you're coming from an experience with Huawei, right? You have also Mikrotik and Ubiquiti, and
so
you've upgraded to 100 gig with us. So how does that look?
I don't have any figure with me because it wouldn't be fair comparing any solution to Mikrotik, where it's pretty cheap and there is no support on anything. So it's not really a good comparison. With Huawei, what is interesting is that it's close enough in terms of global prices, so I mean capex and opex, that we can go with this solution. We can absorb the difference, and it's still very far from what we've been quoted for the other vendors.
Right, like for example, I know Juniper was a consideration,
Yeah,
so going from Huawei to Juniper
that's
may have
the
been
worst
another.
case, yes, because it's tenfold, but the other, like, I don't know, Cisco or anything, was like probably close to 2 times more expensive.
Okay.
So yeah, it's still a bargain for us.
Okay, okay. Well, both of you have taken a new path with your networking and with your equipment, and I think everyone can always benefit from lessons learned. Everything doesn't always go smoothly. There are hiccups along the way. There's always a lesson learned. So, François, what was your biggest lesson learned?
Don't hesitate to buy IP Infusion and go through the journey to open networking.
So maybe you were skeptical at first. Maybe.
As always, new things bring fears. So
Okay.
go through and you will be very satisfied.
And Gaël.
It's quite interesting because I looked at open networking before, but I discarded it because I felt like it was only for big hyperscaler and big networks and everything. So I assumed that it was not a good solution for us, a good match, and I am glad that I was wrong, because it was a lot easier than expected, the transition.
Well, what's coming up next? What do you have cooking?
As we consolidate span and leaf switch with only 4 boxes, I bet on a growth on our activity, and I think we can be. Sorry, I lost my word. I think we can be.
So more spine leaf switches.
Yes, exactly. So we can grow smoothly and add some racks on our data center very simply.
Right, because your business is growing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, very good. And I know you have some things cooking because you were sharing how much you like to build labs, Gaël.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
what's going on?
So I had a few plans before coming here, but I have seen a few things today, and I think it's going to be the same for tomorrow, that prove me that there are a lot of things that I have not yet experimented with, And there are a lot of interesting things that I saw today that I want to experiment with. And so I think the next step is going to be for us expand open networking to the rest of the network. That means access layer and everything. But also go to open computing and see what can be applied to a company like us.
Yes,
Because,
really
yeah,
the start for you. Really the start, and
Exactly,
here you are
yeah.
at the show.
Yeah.
Okay, so last question I have for both of you. What is the one key criteria that allowed you to select open networking? What is the one thing?
For me, it's the open of the ecosystem. So maybe actually IP Infusion is compatible with Edgecore, UfiSpace, Celestica, and so on. And I think the new player will come, and IP Infusion will be compatible with. So for us, it's important to not close with the vendor.
So open ecosystem.
Exactly.
Okay, and one key criteria for you, Gaël.
Well, it's something that has been talked about today, but I think for us it's probably sovereignty and no vendor lock-in. That means that we can, if we hit a roadblock with something, we can find another solution that is still compatible and still share the same philosophy and the same way of building things. That way we can switch vendor and keep the same software and everything. That's a very big deal for us.
Okay.
Especially because there is support with this. Because it's not something that I saw before. I always thought that open means no support. Means that you have to do it by yourself.
Right. So having an open ecosystem that's fully supported.
Yeah.
And then coming to this conference, you've noticed that there's a bigger ecosystem than maybe you even thought.
It's not enterprise ready.
Yeah, okay, very good. Well, I've done my job. I've kept us at 3 minutes to have a Q&A with the group here. So has anyone in the audience come with a question prepared outside of my questions? Don't be shy. Yes.
So I'm actually with many other people representing the European OCP community. So would we be able to participate potentially in a presentation in our monthly calls to discuss about your success stories about implementing open networking with OCP in Europe?
Yeah,
Yes,
that
of
would
course.
be interesting. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, great.
And it would be great from your side as well if there's some other activities happening here in Europe regarding open computing. Would be nice to hear about those as well.
Yes, so from our side, IP Infusion side, this is a growth market, a growth story for us. So we're really happy to be here at the show. It's our first time to be at the show in Europe. We do also participate in the network operating groups all around Europe as well, in the different countries. And yes, any other questions from the audience? It was a really tame group today. Let us off easy. Okay. Well, with that then, for our call to action. So we have on our website, ipinfusion.com, we have all the information about both of these cases. You will find them easily. So we have done a press release with both and a full case study with both. You can find more information there. We've also published several dozens of other open networking case studies on our website as well. So you can see stories all over the world. And with that, I would really like to thank you, François. Thank you, Gaël, for coming all this way to be with us today for your first OCP show.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right.
Thank you.
Obrigado, Celia.
Thank you.